happening? This is the Blue Review. Let's check out what people have to say. We're going to get into the pen. We're going to get into Julio Urias. We're going to get into Cody Bellinger. But I want to read what you guys have to say. All right, how about that for a win? Make that 4 in a row. I'm okay with that. I got a little dicey at the end there, with Kenley Jansen. We're all a little worried about him, but that was a good. At least he got out of it with a 4-game win streak and another sweep for the Dodgers. I am Greg Bergman. This is the Blue Review. Hashtag Blue Review at Bergman Greg on Instagram, at Bergman Greg on Twitter, and I'm on ESPN LA Periscope right now too. If you want to watch on ESPN LA Periscope, go over to their Twitter. It's just sitting right there ready for you to watch. So welcome to the Blue Review. Thank you very much for being here. That is 4 in a row for the Dodgers, and that's also a 3-game, that's their 3rd sweep of the season, 6-game home winning streak, and you go into the Giants series, the hated Giants series, for the next 3 days before your first day off in quite some time with a 6-game winning streak, and it's a big deal there for you. I'm very happy with what I'm seeing from it, and God, what can we say about Cody Bellinger at this point? It's kind of crazy. I'm going to get into everything that has to do with that. We're going to get into Cody Bellinger. We're going to get into Rich Hill's first start. We're going to get into that crazy second inning to really kind of break it down. I know it didn't end up making a difference in the end of the game, but that second inning to me was very, very important. And we'll also get into what the Dodgers have looked like really with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. So that's a big thing as well. But before I started, like I always do, I want to read your comments, your questions before, just to see where we're at after this big win for the Dodgers. Another one, 19-11 right now. 19-11. I'm pretty happy with that. Pontificating PhD finally got to catch you live, bro. Hey, yes, because the middle of the day on a Sunday. What else are you doing? You already watched the Warriors play and beat the Rockets, so why not just watch me? And it's before Game of Thrones, so you know what? I'm here, and you can watch me before you even get into the sit down with your loved one and watch Game of Thrones. That's the way to be. Outlook for winning the division, Maxer Doodles. That's a great name, by the way. Maxer Doodles is a fantastic name. But I'm very happy with that. Ryan D. Montez. Greg, what's up, Ryan? Dodger Rebel umpire squeezed Jansen. He did. There was a couple squeeze there that he should have gotten out with Frazier at the top there. But fine. Those are quick ones. That was also a rookie umpire. He was at first base yesterday, and he had a little bit of a few issues there. But he's back, and it was not a problem. They still got the win there, and on a 94-mile-per-hour fastball from Kenley Jansen, so that's also interesting for him to be up in that velocity a little bit as well. June 16th, I'll be there. Oh, that's awesome, man. Hopefully I can get to a game sometime soon as well. Kings Papa 1015, was that the greatest game hitting with 2 outs, runners scoring position in a long time? You know what? I'm going to get into all of that in my topic, Kings Papa, and I'm going to get into my topics just here in a second, but that is the number 4 thing on my topics list, and you know what? With that, let's go do that now. Let's get right into that and throw that up there so we're all ready. First thing that we got to start off with is Rich Hill. Rich Hill came in, and after the first 2 innings was a little bit rough. Wasn't really sure. He was leaving balls up to people were just getting a lot of, especially Melky Cabrera, getting a hold of, getting them in the air, putting them in the seats, or just getting them deep out there. A little bit rough first couple innings for Rich Hill, but he ended up getting out of it and really just settling down and moving through 6 innings before he got it over to Julio Urias for 2 and Kenley Jansen for 1. That's that's a good, strong outing, and what you're kind of going to be seeing moving forward from the bullpen, because now you have Julio Urias sitting there waiting for you. Instead of being in the starting rotation where he's going to be using up a lot of innings, he can now move to the bullpen and give you these 2 late innings and be pretty solid. I know he did give up 1 run, but again, that was one of those runs was because of what he did, because of the errors on the field. There was a couple, that was a bad defensive game for the Dodgers that you're not expecting to see. And there was 2 errors in this game. Both of them ended up scoring runs. Because the first, when you had it against Rich Hill early on, and then against Julio Urias, there was also just Alex Verdugo just letting a ball go by that he was trying to get Melky Cabrera out at first. And he almost had him. But just baby ball went right through his legs to the back and ended up with a triple for him. So it was a little bit rough. But either way, very happy with what I'm seeing from Rich Hill. I'm fine with those 5 runs. I'm not sure how many of them were actually even earned. Only 1. Yeah, of the 5 runs, only 1 was earned, and that 1 run was the home run because there was just bad defense right behind him, where you had Max Muncy throw a ball over Cody Bellinger's head from third base, which doesn't normally happen. And then you have and then that other error, but it was all because of those things. He could have gotten a much better outing. I'll take the 1 earned run and the 6 Ks. The 2 home runs, a little bit of an issue, but you know he settled down and got the last 10 out in a row, something along those lines. The next thing, the second inning, I really want to talk about that second inning because you had the Max Muncy throw over Cody Bellinger's head, and because of that, everybody kind of moved up, and then you had. Sorry, I'm getting texts and all these kind of things. The biggest thing was Russell Martin. Russell Martin had a ball that was kind of going up the first base line. It looked like he was going to go out of play, but he picked it up before he got out of play to try and get the guy out at first. However, he didn't even throw to first to get the out. I think what really happened there is, if you look at it, it was tough to see on TV, but if you actually looked at it, Rich Hill was basically standing next to Russell Martin, and coming around the side was Diaz from the Pirates, and coming from third base, he had a wide open lane to go home and probably score a run there if that ball doesn't end up going out. It looked like it was about to go out, but we don't know, and I trust the eye of Russell Martin, who is standing right there and looking over it. If he doesn't pick that ball up and it doesn't go out, that's an easy run scored. Yes, they all kind of scored anyway, but he was trying to save a run there, so I'm okay with what I'm seeing from that. I think that was important, and it was okay. Belly bomb, man. We gotta talk about Cody Bellinger, because it's just insanity of what this guy is doing in the month of April and a little bit of March. And by the way, look at this. You see this? This is my belly bomb shirt. At Bleedlos, BLEEDLOS, at Bleedlos, being the new apparel sponsor, sending me this shirt, which is a badass shirt, and I got a couple other ones that are going to be wearing from now on, but you can find it on their website. Just go to at Bleedlos, and you can see all this stuff. I love this shirt, and I wore the Bellinger shirt today because he deserves it. Can you see what this guy has been doing in the month of April? It's not even May 1st isn't until Wednesday. So he has 2 more games, Monday and Tuesday, before he even gets there. And in this moment right now, he has an MLB record, 94 total bases. 94 total bases. Destroys. What was it? It was Chase Utley in 2008 had 85 total bases before May 1st. Absolutely destroyed it. That's an MLB record. And now he's got 14 home runs. He's got 36 RBIs. The dude is on absolute fire. It's insane. And okay, the 2 out and runners in scoring position last year was a big deal when it came to 2 outs, runners in scoring position. They were one of the worst teams in all of baseball. It's the beginning of the year, but as of right now, they are killing the ball inside right now, just because you can see guys like Cody Bellinger, who is now a complete hitter, by the way. I wanted to get into that as well. He is now a guy that when it gets to be 2 outs and he had 2 strikes on him, he is shortening his swing. He's shortening his swing and going either going oppo, or he's beating the shift, because he's getting good bat on ball and putting the ball in play and getting runs scoring that way. And it really shows in his OPS. It shows in his on base percentage. It shows in his actual average as well, where he's batting over 420. I know that's not going to stick around forever, but this is what happens when you're an elite player and you're really starting to figure it out. I don't expect him to stay at 420 for the rest of the year because that's just insanity, but who he's becoming as a hitter, how he's working against lefties, how he's working against righties is really showing. And tonight, you're starting to see more of what's happening with the 2 outs and runners in scoring position just this entire year along with today. They were great with runners in scoring position today. And now on the year, I might have missed a couple here, but as of the last I saw, and that was probably around the 6th or 7th inning, was they had a 281 average, 69 RBIs with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. That's 3rd in the National League in average and 1st in runners and RBIs. That's what we were missing last year. That's what really changes this team, because now you're starting to see them getting big hits, and it's all situational hitting, which really shows a lot to me that this is the type of team that can get there. And can you imagine what Max Muncy is thinking to himself right now when he's batting in the 3-hole and Cody Bellinger's behind him, whoever's batting in the 3-hole for that matter, and Cody Bellinger's behind him, you are going to see good pitches, because you do not want to see Cody with men on base, especially right now. You may get him here and there, but as of right now, you don't want to see him. It's just a bad situation for you because he's getting hits with regularity where it's kind of crazy, but he's almost 50% at the plate. I mean, over 420 is gigantic numbers. Those are huge. And he's over 500 on base percentage, which means he's basically getting on base 50% of the time as well. That's an insane number. So for him to be doing those types of things is huge. So really having those 2 outs, having those runners in scoring position, big hits from up and down the lineup, because he's not the only one with those 69 RBIs. So that's very important to be looking at moving forward. And that's going to do enough for me. I'm going to go into what you guys want to talk about now after this sweep to see. I'm sure there's plenty that you want to talk about, whether it's the bullpen and Julio Urias, whether you want to talk about Kenta Maeda tomorrow night, whether you want to talk about the return of Rich Hill, Dick Mountain. Good for him. Very happy to see him back. And so whatever you guys want to talk about, that's what I am here for. And I'm going to try and slow down just a little bit here because I realize I'm talking pretty fast right now because I'm excited. I'm happy. And I got this badass belly bomb shirt on from Bleedlos. Really happy about that too. Elliot On says, I'm always thinking that Cody's got to be a slump sometime. Then he homers. It's going to happen eventually. Look, let's all be honest. At some point in time, Cody Bellinger is going to have a bad outing. He's going to go 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. He's going to go on a long stretch where maybe it's, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, where he's not going to get a lot of hits, and he's going to kind of he's going to start slowing down, and you're going to be, by the end of the year, he'll be around 3 to 350. Somewhere in that range is what you're kind of hoping for. So just enjoy what you're seeing now, but he will go down just a slight bit. Shane K. Lee, what's up, my man? Hey, Greg, nice sweep. I haven't seen anyone locked in as Cody in a long time. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody this good in 1 month, especially at the beginning of the year. I've seen guys like Benny Bye-Bye Agbayani go for 10 home runs or 8 home runs, whatever it was, in the beginning of the year. Chris Shelton was one other guy that when at one point, I think it was with the White Sox, he went crazy and was hitting a home run after home run after home run, but the numbers weren't the same. I mean, look, Christian Yelich is having a fantastic year where he's batting like 325, 350, and he's got he's got 34 RBIs and 14 home runs and all these great numbers. And then you look at Cody Bellinger's numbers, and they're just far surpassing all of them. And I actually have written down, thank you to Rick Krajewski, by the way, for all of this. Average, first in MLB with an over 426 batting average. This was coming into today because I don't have it all right in front of me for exactly. 500 OBP, second in MLB behind Mike Trout. Okay, fine. And that might have even changed today. Slugging percentage, first in the MLB with an 894. He's probably around a 900 now after today too. Tied first in home runs with Yelich with 14 home runs. Bananas. Runs, most in the MLB with 28, and actually now he's got 29 runs because he hit another home run. So he's the first in baseball with runs, tied first in MLB, probably and actually above Christian Yelich now. So with 36 RBIs, he's now first in baseball in average, on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, home runs, RBIs, and I think OBP just went second place. But still, those are insane numbers for 1 month. I've never seen anything like this. If he can stay hot like this throughout the end of the year, it would be the biggest MVP year of anybody ever. looking at a guy that is a complete ball player right now. Just in his last at bat, where he ended up getting a single to put the game up 7-5 when it was 6-5. I lost my computer. Whoa, that was very odd. When it was 7 to put it up 7-5, he was down 1. He was 1-2. He had 1 ball, 2 strikes. He worked it to a full count, shortened up his swing, and ended up just getting a single through the shift to bring in another run that made it 7-5, which was a very important run as well, because they're up 7-5 and they end up winning the game 7-6. So that was the game winning run in that sense. So huge from Cody Bellinger. I've never seen anything like this, and I just hope it lasts as long as it possibly can. Let's see, Dash. Urias to the bullpen. Urias is in the bullpen, yes, because this is what you're seeing from what you need to see. We need to understand, and we talk about this over and over again in these post games, is that Julio Urias last year had shoulder surgery. He is on an innings limit. We are in April. If you pitch him all the time right now, 6 innings over and over and over again in the starting rotation every 5 days, he's going to blow out. He's going to go right through his innings limit, and I think that's a real thing, especially in April. Don't worry about it in April, May, even June. When it starts getting into July, August, September, we're getting right towards the playoff race. That's when you want him kind of slowly moving himself back into the starting rotation, ramping up his innings so he can go 5, 6, possibly even 7 innings, and being a very important piece to your starting rotation moving forward. And yes, that does mean that Kenta Maeda would probably be one of the guys to move to the bullpen if it's not Ross Stripling, who's in the starting rotation and pitching against Madison Bumgarner on Wednesday. So yes, and we're talking about, I know you guys were asking about Kenta Maeda. Maeda is going to be in that starting rotation again early in the year. He has an incentive package in his contract that is basically saying it depends on how many starts he has, how many innings he pitches. Let him get those innings out now. Let him be he was fine, especially as a 5th starter. You can use him in that situation and eventually move him into a bullpen role later in the season when you really, really need it. But right now, seeing Urias there, eventually Ross Stripling, I'm all for it. Sam416 on Instagram, do you think the pen is starting to get in the flow of the season? Yes, I do. I was never worried about the pen, by the way. The pen was never one of my worries, because the guys that you were seeing are never the guys at the beginning of the year. Bullpen is always different than the end of the year bullpen, and what you're seeing right now is not the guys that you're going to be seeing. At the beginning of the year, you were seeing Brock Stewart, you were seeing Yimi Garcia, you were seeing a lot of different guys in those pens that were not pitching all that great. But if you look at the staff now that you've added Urias back into the starting rotation, or into the bullpen, and then you're going to move Stripling into there, and then you don't look at Pedro Baez yesterday. Can we talk about Pedro Baez for just 1 second? I was one of the biggest Pedro Baez haters in the world, and it was known. It was on Mason and Ireland. It was online. It was on Twitter at Bergman Greg. Anytime Pedro Baez came in, and I wasn't alone, I would hate on him nonstop. He got booed at Dodger Stadium last year because of how bad he was. But in September last year, he really started to figure something out, and he was great all through September and even through October in the postseason. He was fantastic in the postseason, and it really, really showed. Last night, he came in with the bases loaded, nobody out, and he got out of that jam. That's a huge, huge spot to get out of that jam to save a 3-1 win over the Pirates. Gigantic outing from Pedro Baez there. Huge. And so him being in the bullpen. Caleb Ferguson just went on to the IL, he has been pitching pretty well out of the pen. You've seen guys like Jamie Schultz go up and down. Now he's down now, but he could easily come back up, and he pitched well. Kenley, that's now 2 in a row that he had where he struck out. He ended the game on a 94-mile-per-hour fastball. It's up there. It's starting to move. I know he gave up a couple hits, especially Melky Cabrera, who was just on absolute fire today. Cabrera had an error field, but it was a triple, although it was a single that turned into a triple with a 2-base error from Verdugo. But he had 2 home runs. He had a double in the top of the 9th inning. Cabrera was fantastic tonight. You can't really even You can't even sweat that. And Adam Frazier got on base after a very iffy call from a rookie umpire that the ball looked like he was right on the line. Perfect pitch, 2-2 count. Should have been at strike three, game over, except they called it a ball, and then he ended up walking Frazier, and that's how everything started to move in that direction. But he did get the out after a 94-mile-per-hour fastball. So the velocity is moving up. The cutter is starting to move a little bit better. That's 2 clean outings in a row after having 7 of 10 where he gave up a run. So it's starting to all figure out. Joe Kelly has had a couple clean outings in a row. Even Yimi Garcia's had a couple clean outings. So the guys that you were seeing in the pen that were giving up runs either moved down or on the IL. Caleb Ferguson was struggling. To the IL he goes, especially with Rich Hill coming back from the IL today and throwing a pretty good game. Actually, that's something to work on for him. Dodger Rebel, vote for Pedro. Exactly, I'm all for that. Pontificating PhD. Dodgers have lacked someone who is that guy consistently. Is Belly going to be that guy we can count on to get the big hits and won't disappear in August, September of the playoffs? That's what we're hoping for, Pontificating PhD. That's exactly what we're hoping for. And if it's not him, Justin Turner can be that guy. And really, this is the guy that I think we are really, really sleeping on, is Corey Seager. And I think that we're not understanding what Corey Seager really brings to this team. He had Tommy John surgery over the summer, or over last year. He had a hip surgery as well, and he's just kind of really starting to get back into the flow, but he's looking pretty good. He's back up to over 250. He's getting hits. He had a big 2 RBI double today, so it's starting to all click. He still is going to have those moments where he misses pitches like he did today. He had a couple pitches that he just absolutely missed and ended up popping out with runners on. But those are the types of plays that are going to start getting better as the year goes on, and I think Corey Seager will eventually be a dynamic 1-2 punch with Cody Bellinger. It's going to be a great combo, and really I love what I'm seeing from this team just up and down anyway. So, and if anybody isn't playing well, like look at Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor hasn't been playing all that great. Look who's getting more of the playing time instead of Chris Taylor coming in. Alex Verdugo is starting to get more playing time. So that's going to happen. Where's the Rojo Chingon's power at? Hey, Justin Turner's, if we remember, in June last year, he had 2 home runs. Sometimes the power takes a little while to come together. Hopefully you can. He's just missing, by the way. In Chicago, he just missed a home run. He's hitting to the warning track. It's just not there yet. But Justin Turner, I feel like, will start getting. He's going to end up with 15 to 20 homers on the year. Don't worry about it right now, especially when you're winning games still and you're up. It's 19-11. Let's just so we understand what we're looking at. Last year, the Dodgers are now 19-11, and coming into this game, they were 18-11. The Dodgers didn't win their 18th game in 2018 until the 44th game of the season, and they were 10 games under 500 at one point. Just so that we're very clear, this year it took them 28 games to get to 18, so that's 30 games to get to 19 wins, which didn't even happen until I think the 45th game last year. That's a huge deal. That really shows the difference the 1 year can make. Remember, 2 years ago, Dodgers just ran away with the division, went straight to the World Series, and they never looked back. Then last year they struggled, but they still figured a way to get through the division and make it back to the World Series. It looks like we could be looking at the same type of team that we saw in 2017 again. I get it. It's early. I'm not getting too excited, but it's still a possibility, and it's something that we can be looking towards because it's important now. Anna Pastores. Oh, hey, what's going on, Anna? How are you? That's Michelle's mother. Hello, Anna. Thanks for coming on. Hello from Sandra Erica. What's going on, Sandra? Nice to see you on here. Adam Davis, do you think this win streak, I gotta get rid of a few things here because it looks like some caps lock and stuff is on. Do you think this win streak can continue with the amount of runs they've been giving up, especially late in the game? You're looking at more earlier in the year, Adam, and it's more so that the bullpen, I think, is looking much, much better than it was early on. And I think that you're saying, remember, they won last night against a pretty bad team. The Pirates have now lost 8 in a row, so you can't really go too much on that. But against the Pirates, they won 3-1. That's not giving up runs late in the game. They won tonight 7-6. They gave up 5 runs in the first 2 innings and mostly on errors. So, and it was all in the second inning. A bad second inning gave them 4 runs to go up 5-1. The Dodgers still fought back, came back, and won that game 7-6. That's the difference between the 2 years. Last year was a problem because you didn't expect them to win coming through. This is always nice to see when you're seeing a team that's playing well and knows that how to work the strike zone and how to work pitchers and wait for their pitch, and whether it takes 4 innings, 5 innings, or they jump on them early, it changes, and you trust that in the later innings they'll come back and at least make an attempt or be right there, 1 hit away from getting the lead, tying the game, whatever it was tonight or today. It was a chance for them to actually take the lead and win another game to go to 19-11. I'm very, very happy with what I'm seeing from there. And just so we're clear, if you want to be able to watch me, you can watch me on the ESPN LA Periscope, which is just go to ESPN Los Angeles Twitter. I'm right there, sitting right there. It's just in a picture right there ready for you to watch. And then, or you can watch me on at Bergman Greg on Twitter, Greg Bergman on YouTube. Bergman, it's at MPG Postgame or MPG_Postgame on Twitch, and Instagram and Facebook. Just find Greg Bergman Facebook. I'm on all of these platforms, 5 different platforms for you to be able to just react as you want, because this is what the Blue Review is all about. And I'm going to say it over and over again till we finally understand it, is that when you call into a show, a post-game show, they're not going to answer your call. Or you'll sit on hold for an hour and you may never get picked up, or you might, but you're going to sit there 20, 30, 40 minutes waiting to get on. You might listen on TV. They're not going to read your tweet or to see what you're saying. If you even tweet at somebody and say like, hey, ask a question, but there's 60, 50, 60, 70 different messages in there, they're probably not going to see it. Maybe they answer, maybe they don't, but really Twitter is just to give out the information and really not respond too much. But on the Blue Review, I'm going to read what you say to me. I'm going to actually look at what you say, read your handle, say what you want to say, get your voice heard, and then I will respond to you specifically. And you can talk amongst all the other community members as well. There's plenty of other people here on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on everywhere, Twitch, YouTube, what doesn't matter, that all want to react, and this is where you can do that. Let's go over to Ernie Vasquez 14. We're winning, and some of our best hitters are in pretty big slumps. Seager, Turner, Pollock, etc., because of a guy named Cody Bellinger, and he has been the driving force behind that. And also Max Muncy has been really good too, just in the sense that he's been getting big hits. And again, another one tonight. He was 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Look at your numbers 2, 3, and 4 hitters today. And this is why I don't really understand when they do things and move Cody Bellinger into the 6th spot, because he couldn't hit lefties last year. Look what he's doing against lefties this year. He's over 900 OPS. But you talk about the 2, 3, and 4 hitters tonight, which are your big power hitters, the ones that you really want to be hitting in big situations. 2 RBIs for Seager, 2 RBIs for Muncy, 3 RBIs for Bellinger. That's 7. That's your 7 RBIs right there from your 2, 3, and 4 hitters. That's a big deal. Those are the guys that you need in big situations. Yes, Seager has been having some issues recently. He's still getting on base though, and that's kind of the biggest deal. But his slugging is down. He's just not. The power isn't there. It's going to come. He's still coming off of those surgeries. Shane K. Lee. I admit, I too was a Baez hater. I think after last season, he turned a corner. I agree with you. That was a huge deal for him last year, and I think now, he started off the year kind of iffy, because that's kind of what Pedro Baez does, but he's been really good, and last night really proved and showed you how good he really has been recently. Melky should not be playing too many chances after PED suspensions. I totally agree with you. I can't even deny those things. Those are real, absolute real things, Shane Lee. Melky Berra, I don't know how many. It's been 2 or 3 different times that he's been suspended for PEDs. The dude is using PEDs. That means do not let him play. There's got to be an understanding. It's either you let everybody just use them and ruin their bodies, which I don't agree with, or you just cut it. You give them a 1-year suspension the first time. The second time, you're out. It's just like domestic violence. But a little bit different. Domestic violence, 1 time, done. Get out. I'm serious, but I hate that. The fact that guys are domestic abusers and are able to come onto a playing field and play again, like Addison Russell being able to play for the Cubs is upsetting to me. And the pitcher down in Houston, The fact that he is able to pitch at the end of games as a good pitcher is bananas to me. If you are suspended and you take these as a spousal abuse, whatever it was, abuser, you lose baseball. I'm sorry. You lose baseball. You lose basketball. You lose hockey. You lose whatever it is. You hit a female. You're done. You're out. It's over. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. You need to put a stamp on that. It can't happen. Roberto Osuna has left the chat. Ryan T. Montes. Yes, Roberto Osuna. Exactly. Him too. Get him out. Aki09. Did you think the front office and the coaching overanalyzed, for example, when they put Belly in the 6 hole in Chicago? I did. I absolutely did. And look, I absolutely love this front office. I love Andrew Friedman. I love that he puts smart people in the room around him. I love that he is consistently making big decisions, and he is making them with the ideas of everyone else around him, and he goes after the big name free agents or big name trade candidates when it gets to the trade deadline. He will make those moves. He will spend that money, and he will spend the money wisely. He doesn't give 5-year deals, 6-year deals. He makes those the correct decisions. I'm very happy with what I'm seeing from this front office. However, that was getting too cute. It didn't make sense to put your best hitter, the best hitter currently in baseball, in Cody Bellinger, in the 6th spot against Chicago. It didn't make sense at all. I don't care how he's pitching, how he's hitting against lefties. He is the best hitter. You move him up in that lineup. You have him in the 4 spot. You have him in the 1 spot. You have him in the 2 spot. Doesn't matter. Even if you want him in the 3, that doesn't matter. There is a great article that I read. Thanks. Someone else gave it to me. I forget who it was, but somebody on Twitter showed me an article, and it was from Beyond the Box Score, and it was about how to construct a lineup. And it was very well written, and it really showed what the most important parts of your lineup actually are. And the most important part of the lineups were your leadoff hitter was all about OBP, which is why they use guys like Jock Peterson and Kike Hernandez in those situations, because Jock has an OBP of 362. That's why he's in the top there, and he's also been a great power hitter, especially against right-handed pitching. Or it was Kike Hernandez, who's also 345. He's right there as another good on-base percentage guy at the top of the lineup, especially against left-handed hitting. So you have a good on-base guy as your leadoff hitter against righties and against lefties. The number 2 hitter is also important to be getting on base as well, because that's another guy, Seager. 350 getting on base. If it's not Seager, it's Justin Turner, who didn't actually come up, but he has a pretty high OPS or a on base percentage, if I am correct as well. Let me just get this real fast. Come on, work for me. No. My buttons aren't working. Oh, this is what I want. I want hitting. Excuse me. I'm trying to use 2 different computers now, so I'm doing this differently. So if I look over to my right, you'll see that that's why that's happening. But Justin Turner, 374 on base percentage. So you're switching the 2 guys back and forth in those situations, and so you want another good on base percentage in that second place. The 3rd hitter is not as important as anywhere else. So what they say is that the 1, 2, 4, 5, 3 is how that goes. Those are the more important hitters, because the 3 hitter is usually a big, strong power hitter today in today's game, just trying to hit home runs. Just bringing in those guys that are already on base. And if they don't, then you have your best hitter, your power hitter that also has a strong on-base percentage in the 4 spot, and that's why Cody Bellinger is there. And the difference is when you put Max Muncy above him, then you're seeing he's going to get better pitches, knowing that Cody Bellinger is right behind him, so he's protecting Max Muncy in this situation, and you have a 500 OPS or on-base percentage for Cody Bellinger. AJ Pollock is your 5th hitter, and that's also he hasn't been hitting as well, but he will, and that's where you want him to start. He's going to get some good pitches as well, because it's all about having the Cody. So it's all 1, 2, 4, 3. That's the importance right there, and that's why when you move your best hitter, Cody Bellinger, down into the 6th spot, you lose everything. Because look who your 7 and 8 hitters are. Your 7th hitter is no longer protecting Cody Bellinger when you have him in the 6th spot. Today was Kike Hernandez, a little bit more protection, but sometimes it's Chris Taylor or Verdugo or whoever it happens to be that day. But if you put Bellinger there, walk him. Because your 7th hitter is usually not the best hitter on your team. Is usually one of your lower end hitters. The 7, 8, 9 hitters are the automatic out type players. So when you have Bellinger in that 6th spot, the 7th spot is, you need a strong hitter there, and that's not usually where they are. So it didn't make any sense, because all you have to do is just walk him, and you get away from him over and over again. And they didn't walk him, and he burned them a lot of times in that 6th spot, hitting home runs. So again, not a fan of that move. I did think that was very much about the front office just trying to get too cute and using analytics and numbers too much. When a guy's hot, you got to have the balance between numbers and eye test. And what you're seeing from Cody Bellinger right now, he deserves absolutely 100% to be up in that 3-4 spot, game in, game out, no matter what. Let's see. Pontificating PhD. It's Daryl, bro. Oh, what's up, Daryl? Bergman, aren't you supposed to be afraid of the Cubs going after you? Saw the Bill Bear article about the Cubs privately threatening writers who criticize Russell. Well, too bad, but guess you're not a writer. No, Daryl, I am not a writer, and I am going to absolutely say whatever I want about him because I'm not being paid by the Dodgers or anybody else to do this. I am being paid by myself to do this. So I have the backing of ESPN LA, but for the most part, these are my thoughts, my words. And Addison Russell and Roberto Osuna and Tyreek Hill, if you want to go to the NFL, all of these guys, Kareem Hunt, I don't care who you are. You hit a female, you're out. Or a 3-year-old child for that matter. You're out. You're done. Goodbye. Sorry. You lose. Game over. Yashi. Jansen still doesn't look right. No, he doesn't fully look right, but he's starting to get there. That's a 2 in a row where he's had clean outings, so that's a good thing. It's starting to get there. We just got to be patient. He will be a good closer. I really honestly believe it. You need Kenley Jansen to be strong later in the year, and I hope that that's what's going to happen to him. If not, other guys are going to be available to start doing that. You're starting to see Joe Kelly starting to throw that 98-mile-per-hour heater that's getting right by people. He's starting to look a little bit better. Another couple innings that he's had clean innings. So again, going to be okay with him as well. Maxer Doodles. Yes, he pays himself to do work. Sounds profitable. yeah, it is, right? But hey, I need to have a voice. I need to be able to speak with you guys, and I think that this is a great opportunity for me to be doing that. Whether I get paid, whether I don't get paid, that doesn't matter to me. It's just being able to actually sit here and have these conversations with you guys, because this gives your voice and my voice all at the same time, and we have a conversation, and I think that's a better way to do it. Maxer Doodles, if you said that to anybody else, were they going to actually answer you and have a discussion about you? Not. Hopefully at some point it becomes profitable. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, okay, no big deal. Chris Camillo, what's up, Camillo? Hey, by the way, Chris Camillo, big dude, has a good podcast, Carmelo's Corner. I'm losing everything on here. That's very odd. Carmelo's Corner. He also does a great YouTube, or not YouTube, a Instagram split. Also, so just go check him out. See Camelo 1. He does a good job there. Jansen got a squeeze by the umpire today. He did get squeezed by the umpire. We talked about that a little bit earlier. It was on Adam Frazier where he was on the line. It looked like it, but that was a rookie umpire. You're not going to get every call until we start getting robot umps. And robot umps were being used as of last week in the independent league. Let's see how it starts going there. And hopefully, we start seeing some robot umps moving forward, because that, I think, is important to the game of baseball. Eventually, it needs to happen. I'm just checking out on some of the other chats here, and I got Shane Haley. Yes, there should be no tolerance for domestic abuse. Agree with you. Roxy Girl 7985. I agree. Addison Russell shouldn't be playing. Shame on the Cubs and the MLB for allowing it. And this is, I agree with you. And this isn't kind of what I'm not trying to get into. I'm not trying to get into a whole discussion about domestic violence and domestic abuse, but this is kind of where the conversation is going for the moment. But this is what they're going to say. They're going to say, well, look, we gave him an 80-game suspension. He was out for a big portion of the year last year. He did his time. He's going and he's being active in the community, or he's going to women's shelters or whatever it is, and he's being a better human being. That doesn't change anything for me. If you hit a woman one time, most likely you are going to do it again. If you hit a child one time, most likely you are going to do it again. It will be a better situation if you just get rid of them. I don't care how good they are. Look, if there was a story that came out that Cody Bellinger was doing those, God forbid, and hopefully that it never comes out, I would say the exact same thing. I'm sorry, Cody. You're playing out of your mind. You're the best player in baseball right now, but you did something absolutely horrendous. You need to leave the game. It's time. And I apologize. And that's going to screw over the Dodgers, and they're not going to be as good as they once were. And you are a huge part of this team. But if that happened, and I'm never going to say that it did, I'm not speculating that it did, but if it did, if that story somehow came out, I'm out. I'm out on him. That's just how it goes. And we have to, it doesn't matter if it's your teammate or somebody else's, you're done. And that's how it needs to be. And I'm sorry, that's just when it's going to happen. Oh, come on. Arguing with a robot ump will be boring. Look, the umpire will still be back there. They're still going to be fine. If you have a robot ump pontificating, with Daryl, by the way, if you're going to have an umpire back there, is no longer useless. There's plenty of things for them to be doing. They still need to make calls on whether or not the batter swung a little bit when the ball the bat went over the line, so that was called a strike. That can't be seen by a robot umpire. It also plays at the plate. Robot umpire can't do that. They still need to make those plays at the plate, whether that's a safe or out or whatever it is, pointing over to the different first base or third base side to get things. There's still jobs for them. It's just not as important as calling balls and strikes anymore, and I'm fine with that. I don't think that's important. I don't care. Look, I want the right call. There's too many times, and it goes both ways. There's too many times where there's a pitch outside right on the line or right over the line, and it's called for a strike. And then the exact same pitch on the next pitch is in the exact same spot, and they call it a strike or they call it a ball, and it's the exact opposite of what it was. Not how it's going to work. It just doesn't work right. And this is especially for a team like the Dodgers. The Dodgers are a team that they know the strike zone. They live and die by being patient at the plate and waiting for that right pitch and knowing where that ball is. If it's slightly outside and they're knowing that ball is slightly outside, then they don't swing at it. That's how they work counts. That's why you see in the first inning, the Dodgers consistently have starting pitchers in the 20 to 30 range in pitches because they're patient and just wear down those starting pitchers to get to the meaty center of that bullpen of the other teams. That is usually where the issues lie for most teams, unless you're the Milwaukee Brewers. But that's how they work. And if you're not being consistent on where that strike zone actually is, it throws off your hitters. And guys like A.J. Pollock or Justin Turner, whoever it happens to be, have to then protect because they don't know where that next pitch is going to be called ball or strike. And because of that, they're striking out or they're grounding out just because they're on a protection. And it's not the right way for them to play. And that's for both teams. It works both ways. So it's I just don't believe that it's the right way for them to go. Broke Iverson, I'm not reading that. All those things that you're writing is not what I'm going to read because those are all terrible things to say, and I know who you are and I know what you've done on over and over again. So Broke Iverson, I see all those things. I absolutely refuse anything from you because those are all terrible things for you to be saying, and that is just a straight troll and nonsense out of you. So see ya. Game of Thrones 1 hour warning. I will be done before the Game of Thrones 1 hour warning. Thank you very much, David, and I am very, very excited for it. Mason Ireland will be breaking it down. We're going to give you that 2-day break. We're going to be breaking it down on Wednesday like we always do, so don't worry about that. But I am excited for this Game of Thrones episode. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to put the kid to bed. I don't care if it's 5 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to put her to bed so that she is ready to be, so I can sit down and watch Game of Thrones and not worry about anything else because this is a gigantic deal to me. It's the Battle of Winterfell. Woo! I'm excited. I am excited, and I'm sure you are too. Daryl, yeah, the Dodgers being trained on the strike zone has killed us in the World Series. Well, especially when you don't know what's happening left or right, when it's an outside pitch is being called strike or an inside pitch is being called ball. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah, that's how that's going to end up working. But they're also swinging at terrible pitches in the postseason. Kumyashi says, AJ Pollock or Puig, when are we going to see the value? It's early, Yashi. It's going to be AJ Pollock will be fine moving forward. At some point, he will all of a sudden turn around and be like, oh, God, I'm so happy that AJ Pollock is here and not Yasiel Puig. Puig, again, not playing all that well, really. I mean, he did have that home run against the Dodgers, but for the most part, I mean, that was against Kershaw, and you kind of expected that to happen in his game back. He was quiet the rest of the way through. So I'm not really too worried about him in general. Maybe you are, but I'm not worried about AJ Pollock getting better. He will at some point. And I want to see what you guys had to say on Instagram. So I'm sorry for the shake there. I just want to make sure that I don't miss anything closer to the top because I know that you said had a bunch of stuff to talk about earlier. Julio did well from Sam Forrest. Yep, totally agree with that because that that's why I like him in the bullpen. I'm sorry. I'm happy with him in the bullpen right now, knowing that going down the line, he's going to be perfect for this going into the starting rotation when you need him. Let's talk about the starting rotation for just a second here, because this is a big deal what's happening in the starting rotation. You started off the year and you had Stripling, Urias, Maeda all in the starting rotation, along with Ryu, who then ended up getting hurt, and Walker Buehler wasn't even there, and that was basically your starting rotation. And Rich Hill was on the DL or IL, and Clayton Kershaw was on the AL. And what have you seen from Clayton Kershaw in his 3 starts? He finally got a win. Is his first win last night, but you've seen now he has not given up more than 2 runs. He's given up a 2-run home run in the first 2 games, and he only gave up 1 run yesterday. So he has been very, very, and in those 3 outings, he went 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings. The Dodgers by themselves this entire year have had 5 outings of being over of 7 innings pitched or more from your starting pitcher. Two of those have come from Clayton Kershaw. The other 2 of those other ones, Hyun-Jin Ryu, and the other one was Ross Stripling. That's it. Those are your 5. Those are your 5 pitch going into 7th inning. And Rich Hill probably could have today, especially if he would have gotten out of that second inning a little bit faster, but he was also pitched pretty well. So the starting rotation has been very, very strong as of recently. And I think that's a thing that we don't really look at too much, is that we don't understand that the starting rotation has all of a sudden changed into a much better situation because you now have Hill and Kershaw and Buehler and Ryu and then Maeda as your 5th starter. That is a strong rotation all the way through. So again, very, very happy from all that. Let's see. I lost something there. Paused. I didn't mean to pause that. Steve-O, I don't know what that means. Robin Yeezy, what's going on? Pontificating PhD. Hey, Kirsch deserved at least 2 wins in those 3 starts. He did. He should actually be 3-0. He went away with leads, and the bullpen towards the end of the game blew it for him. But now he's 1-0, but he has a very low ERA. He's around 2.25 ERA, something along those lines. He's gonna be just fine. Jake Dicker, what's up, Bergman? What's up, Jake? What's going on, man? I was worried about the Dodgers not making enough offseason moves, but the way they are starting off the season, this team feels special. And David __O, you're right. This team does feel special. They're just different than they were last year, and they look more. When it happened 2 years ago, that 2017 team, you kind of were like, oh, you were shocked that this happened. They're like, okay, well, look how great they're playing. This is amazing how great they're playing. They're coming back all the time. Right now, they just seem to be playing at a much higher pace than anything that they've ever. You're just expecting them to be good. They've had those 2 years in a row in the World Series where they blew it, and you hoping that they don't just stumble out of the gate. 19-11 is not stumbling out of the gate. I think they're either the top team at 19-11 or tied for the top. It just really depends on what happened with the Mariners, because there was the Mariners and the Dodgers with 18 wins, and that was it. So the Mariners are at 18 wins. No, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball now again. 19-11, best team in baseball. This is what we're looking at. Totally different team this year. Hopefully it sticks all the way through. God forbid there's some bad injuries, but for the most part, you're starting to see what happens. And really, if anything happens in the bullpen, if anything happens in the starting rotation, there are guys up and down this roster. I'm talking on the 25-man major league roster, and in AAA in Oklahoma City, and even AA in Tulsa. There are guys up and down just waiting for their chance to jump onto this team, and they're blocked. And this is why right now you're seeing a much different, better team. And if anybody gets injured, there's so many guys that can come in and just fill right into their slot. Dodgers 35. Do you think the Dodgers could use a Kimbrel or a Keuchel? So Kimbrel is an interesting case. He is a guy that wants the $17.9 million, which is the qualifying offer for 1 year. Whether he gets that 1 year or he wants the 3-year deal, whatever it happens to be, it changes daily from what I'm understanding. But whatever it is, he wants to come in and be the closer. He's not going to be the closer for this team yet. They're not going to just bail on Kenley Jansen yet. They're not going to bail on Kenley Jansen. They're not going to bail on anybody else that's in this roster. They're not bailing on Chris Taylor. They're not bailing on anybody until they have a much larger sample size. Alex Verdugo has started off the year great, but they're not going to just give him a starting spot because of how well he's been hitting. It's a small sample size. They're going to wait till there's a large sample size of which this is what the numbers do. They tell you the same thing. So Kimbrel, unless he doesn't join a team by the time it gets right around June, July, and something happens to Kenley Jansen, he's not coming in here. You're not seeing Craig Kimbrell. They're not going to pay him for it. They're not going to give him a 3-year deal for it. And the same with Keuchel, because the starting rotation is pretty deep too. You have Maeda, who's going to be. You have your starting rotation. You already have Kershaw, Buehler, Hill, Ryu, Maeda, Stripling, Urias. I mean, that's 7 guys right there in a 5-man rotation. So it's not going to happen. Most of those guys are not going to be getting there. Is Buehler struggling under the pressure of being the anointed one? Seems to be off to a rough start. It's not his best start. No, it's not the best start for him, Daryl, but sophomore slump. He's starting to look a little bit better. It's kind of up and down right now, but he's got the stuff is still there. He just has to be a little bit more patient. He'll be fine though. Again, a guy that's struggling a little bit early on. The rest of the guys are going to back him up, and he's going to eventually start seeing what all these other guys are doing. Over the last couple games, you had Ryu go 7, then you had Kershaw go 7, and then you had Hill today go 6, despite the little bit of rough in the early on, and then after that. Depends on what Maeda does, but he's starting to see guys going 6, 7 innings with consistency. He's going to want to be in that same spot. He wants to stick with the Dodgers starting rotation, so he will. He's going to want to be up there with them. He's going to start pitching better. It'll happen. Dodger Rebel, this team does feel special, but I feel they need a big right-handed bat and another starter in order to take us to the promised land. Sure, I mean, they could use another bat, but I'm not too worried about the bat. I feel like what they have in having, the right-handers are going to come through for them. They're going to start seeing that up and down the lineup. They have it. Anytime you can get another bat, but when you have guys that are hitting, Verdugo hitting better against lefties. He's had like 500, the 500 on base, or was hitting 500 against lefties the last I looked at it. I didn't look at it today. But Verdugo hitting well against lefties, or whatever it happens to be. I still think, I don't know if there's anybody that's out there that would fit into this organization as well as anybody else. And we're hoping that AJ Pollock turns out to be that guy. He hasn't yet, but that's kind of what you're hoping for, is that AJ Pollock comes in and is that guy. We're almost there. We'll see. Hopefully he starts figuring it out. Arlene DJ WI. What's up, Arlene? Hi, Greg. You do a great job. Thank you. I appreciate that. C. Tedder 1989. Acuna Jr. or Cody. You can only choose one. Who you got? God, that is really, really tough, by the way. I'm going to sound very homerish by saying this, but I'm going with Cody Bellinger. You're talking about a guy in his 3rd year who has finally started to really figure it out. Have you seen what he's done? Acuna Jr. is fantastic, and he is a star, and he's going to be amazing for the rest of his career for the most part. He is a great, great player. The versatility you're getting from Cody Bellinger, where on one day you're going to play him in right field, then the next day you're going to play him at first base. If you really need him to, he's going to go play center field. He doesn't matter. He just mashes everywhere he goes. And he's batting over 400. He has an over 500 on-base percentage. His OPS is over 1,300. The guy is just on absolute fire, and he's been doing it consistently and over again. This is the best month for a player, I think, in the history of baseball before May 1st. I've never, ever, ever seen anybody as on fire as Cody Bellinger right now. And that's why I wear the Belly Bomb shirt today from Bleed Los, because that's the burn. So as of right now, if you're asking me today on April 28th or 26th, whatever day it is, 28th, I'm taking Cody Bellinger. And as much as that may sound like a homerish thing, I'm sorry. I've watched this guy for 3 years now, and I'm telling you, he is absolutely MVP worthy as of right now. He just has to sustain it all the way through and not go through some huge slump. He's going to have slumps. They can't be gigantic. You better had said Cody plays outfield and infield. Yeah, he did. He does. He plays both. I mean, he does. He does everything that you want him to do. He is going to be... If he's splitting time at right field and first base, and he's Gold Glove worthy in both spots, I mean, there's no better player in baseball that can do that. The Dodgers are one of the few teams that I can think of, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's one of the few teams in all of baseball that every player on the field can play multiple positions. I'm talking about guys like Corey Seager can even move over to other spots if needed. He's not going to. He's your shortstop. But he can play. Justin Turner was a second baseman for a lot of his career. Play him at second base if you really, really need him to. Bellinger, your best player, is playing outfield and infield. Kike Hernandez was a utility guy all the way through. There's all these guys up and down the line that are all that everywhere. It doesn't matter. Max Muncy played a ton of second base. He was a first baseman this year. He's playing time at third base when Justin Turner gets a day off. It doesn't matter. Your power hitters, your little hitters, your whatever it is, they all play secondary positions. Maybe not A.J. Pollock. He's your center fielder. He's going to be the everyday center fielder. So really, if you want to be, clear, Seager and Pollock are really the two guys that don't move spots. But that's fine because everybody else can play in another spot, and that's amazing to me. I'm sorry. That's just absolutely insane to be able to see those types of things. Dodger 35. Dodgers had an amazing game last night. Pedro Baez got out of the bases loaded jam. I already gave him a ton of credit, but I got to do it again because that's important. Pedro Baez has reshaped his whole career starting in September of last year. And if he can keep, again, another guy that if he keeps it up going through this year, I have nothing bad to say about the guy anymore. Even when he struggles, I just think to myself, okay, you know what? He's going to get through it. Hopefully he never turns back into that guy that's giving up 3-run home runs in the bottom of the 7th inning when you have a 2-run lead against, whatever team it happens to be that year. But hopefully that doesn't happen anymore. But he still has that little stigma behind him. But last year he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic out of the bullpen. And I think that's a huge guy to have to be pitching well. And now your whole bullpen is starting to pitch well. So I have no issue here or there. Up on the pitching side, the hitting side, the defense. Defense is great everywhere. This was a rare 2-error game that I'm not used to seeing, and they're kind of weird errors too. Like Max Muncy throwing over the head of Cody Bellinger, who's like 6'25", who's very, very tall. That's a rare thing to actually happen. Verdugo rushing on a ball to try and get Melky Cabrera at first base. Probably not the best call, and that's a rookie mistake. But if that ball doesn't get by him and he doesn't slip, then it changes the entire game also. So those are types of things that normally don't happen. I'd rather them happen in April than happen in September. So that's one of the bigger things there. Is Joe Kelly still in a slump? No, Joe Kelly has actually been much better recently. And let me get the exact numbers because I think it's important. The last couple outings for him have been much better. He has been clean. So he's only pitched in a couple games and he's given up 1 run, but 2 strikeouts. The numbers are starting to get better. It's gonna take some time, but I wouldn't call him still in a slump. I still think he's figuring it out. He's been better over the last 7 games. The only guys that have been bad have been, Scott Alexander had a bad outing. That's about it. Caleb Ferguson was in a bad spot, but Pedro Baez saved him. But the guy like Pedro Baez, over the last couple outings, 0 earned runs. Dylan Floro, 0. Yimi Garcia in his last 3 games, 3 innings, nothing. Not even a hit. He gave up a walk, but that's about it. Ross Stripling was great. Hasn't given up a run. Kershaw has only 1. Rich Hill only gave up that 1 run. Urias only gave up 1 run, and that's in 2 relief appearances. I'm happy with what I'm seeing from a lot of this team up and down the line. So no issue whatsoever I don't think it's Joe Kelly so much. I think they're all starting to figure it out, and hopefully it comes together sooner rather than later. You think we come out of it this year? What's up, Devin, by the way? Devin Asher Safer, do you think we can pull it out of this year? Yes, I do. But I've thought it the last 2 years, and especially last year. Last year just was one of those years that just felt like your year, even though they were not, because they struggled to get into the postseason, that they were just going to run through the postseason, and they pretty much did, except for that 7-game series against Milwaukee, and they just ran into a buzzsaw of the Red Sox. The Red Sox were that good. I think this is that team this year. I think the Dodgers are going to be that buzzsaw in the postseason this year, as long as you stay healthy and they stay hot moving forward, and being patient at the plate, what we've been seeing so far in the month of April, and showing why, and with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, they've been so good. One of the best teams in all of baseball with those stats. That's the type of team I really want to see. I think what we're seeing now is important, and I think it's going to happen more so often. All right, one more question here or there, and then I'm going to get out of here because I want to go home, watch Game of Thrones, and be ready. Is San Diego really good or all hype? I think that they're better. I think they're one of those teams that are in the month of April. They're playing well. They're young. They're trying to be that team that's saying we're going to be 1 year, 2 years early than what we were supposed to be. Atlanta was that team last year where they were a little bit ahead of schedule. Houston was that team. They were a little bit ahead of schedule, and San Diego's trying to be that team too. They have a lot of good young pitching. They have a lot of good young hitting. Fernando Tatis Jr. is very, very good, and their pitching is strong early on. I think once those young players start struggling in the middle of the doldrums of June and July, they're going to start falling off. So they may start off hot, and the Dodgers are going to see them this weekend coming up for the first time this year. So that's what you're going to see, the return of Manny Machado. That's going to be interesting. I can't wait to start talking about that next Sunday, if I'm here next Sunday, that is. But there's going to be a lot of stuff. So I think they're going to be good, but not good enough. And I think they're going to fall off and show you that they're just kind of not quite there. In the next couple of years, though, they're going to be strong. They're going to be very, very good. All right, I'm going to check out one or two more questions, and then I'm going to get out of here. Let me see what else I have here. I have Dodgers had an amazing game. Oh, yeah, we did that one already. All right, on that note, I'm right around an hour, so I'm going to say thank you very much for being here. I'm going to be back here on Wednesday in the ESPN LA studio for Game 3 against the San Francisco Giants, and it will be a Ross Stripling versus Madison Bumgarner game, but we're going to be discussing the entire Giants series in as a whole, because they're still the hated Giants no matter what. Those are tough games, and I believe they're up in San Francisco as well. It's going to be Kenta Maeda versus Samardzija, then Walker Buehler versus Drew Pomeranz, then Ross Stripling against Madison Bumgarner, and we're going to really see, and I think that might be Ross Stripling's last start in the starting rotation, so can't wait to start getting into all of that stuff, because, man, it's still the Giants no matter what. Thank you again to @BleedLos for BLEEDLOS for the killer fire shirt, and go over, check them out. This is great. I got a couple more than me wearing moving forward, but thank you guys all for being here for the Blue Review. I really, really appreciate it. I'll be back again on Wednesday. Thank you very much, and go enjoy Game of Thrones. We'll be talking about it on Mason Ireland on Wednesday. Thank you very much. I'm out of here. See you.